Minecraft that takes up less space than a Word document, Minecraft where you run away from a crowd of zombies, Minecraft for a strange mini computer, Minecraft for a TV where you play with a remote control, Minecraft that weighs 800 pounds. Yes, all this is our reality, because in 16 years of the game development, many different Minecraft editions have been released. Spoiler alert, not all of them were successful, and you probably haven't even heard of some of them. Today, I've gathered all these editions and want to tell you what happened to them. Subscribe, hit the like button, and let's get started. Minecraft 4K is one of the most unusual and forgotten version of Minecraft. It was created by Marcus Persson in 2010 for the Java 4K contest, where the task was to write a full-fledged game no larger than 4 kilobytes. To understand the scale, that's less than a single Word document. Despite this strict limit, Notch managed to create a tiny sandbox. Minecraft 4K had a full random world generation, the ability to place and break blocks, but sadly no crafting, mobs, or even world saving. It was successfully a small tech demo showing how compact Minecraft could be. The world size was only 64 by 64 by 64 blocks. After the contest, the game received no support or updates. Notch switched to the main version of Minecraft, which was already gaining popularity at the time. Funnily enough, Notch didn't win that year. However, in 2009 he won by writing Left 4K Dead. Yes, the one with the zombie Steve. Today, Minecraft 4K can be found on fan websites or launched directly on your computer. Even the weakest laptop will be able to run this edition. Minecraft Game Experience Area is a browser-based JavaScript version of Minecraft China Edition. It is free-to-play, even for players from other countries. Essentially, it is the Chinese equivalent of Minecraft Classic, a lightweight demo available directly through the website, with a minimal set of features. The game begins with a loading screen with the words "Run." The cubic world has been taken over by zombies, written in Chinese. The camera spins dramatically, showing motionless zombies on the left and the right. Steve, our guide, asks the player to run into the room ahead to hide. The zombies, by the way, are completely harmless. They don't move or even attack, although they make funny sounds. Next, Steve suggests digging up 4 dirt blocks in a room and blocking the door. After completing these actions, Steve philosophically remarks that the room is depressing and offers to leave. When the player clicks the button, they see a GIF of the NetEye's office, followed by the tagline "Creative freedom begins with a block," and a return to the office website button that takes them back. This edition is still available on the website, and it is more of an advertising attraction than a real game. Its purpose is to lure new players into the world of Chinese Minecraft. Funnily enough, this edition uses textures from the Programmer Art Resource Pack, which is a bit strange considering that new textures have been available for a long time. MinecraftEdu is a special educational edition of Minecraft released in 2011 by Finnish company Teacher Gaming in partnership with Mojang. Its main goal was to turn Minecraft in a tool for learning, from math and science to history, art, and even programming. Was MinecraftEdu different from regular Minecraft? First, it included special management tools for teachers. They could freeze students in place, give them resources, restrict their movement around the world, set tasks, and even create custom maps for specific lessons. In addition, MinecraftEdu offered convenient license for schools, allowing them to use the game in class legally and without any hassle. The game quickly became popular. It was used in more than 40 countries and became a real revolution in educational games. Students, mostly children, played Minecraft, but in reality they were learning to solve problems, build logical structures, and work in a team. When I was a child, we also played games in computer science classes, but they weren't as interesting. The game was called Baby Type, and its purpose was to teach school children to type on a keyboard. Symbols appeared on the screen, and the faster the students typed them, the faster the character on the screen moved forward. This was because someone was often chasing him. In fact, MinecraftEdu is the same Java version of Minecraft, just with a separately written mods, which, by the way, did not run without Forge. That is, when purchasing this version, the student or teacher did not receive a unique edition, but roughly speaking, a mod pack for learning. Sometimes even third-party mods, such as a computer craft, were needed. In 2016, Microsoft bought MinecraftEdu and launched Education Edition based on it, a separate, more modern educational edition that is actively updated and supported nowadays. We will also talk about it today. After that, MinecraftEdu stopped being updated and Teacher Gaming switched to other projects. Despite this, MinecraftEdu is still remembered fondly. It became a kind of pioneer that showed that games can be a powerful tool in education. Now MinecraftEdu can only be found in the form of archived copies, and it is no longer officially supported. Minecraft P Edition is one of the most niche and mysterious edition of Minecraft, released in 2013. It was created specifically for Raspberry Pi mini computers, cheap and simple devices that school children and enthusiasts use to learn programming. Essentially, P Edition is the modified version of Minecraft Pocket Edition Alpha, heavily stripped down but with one major feature: support for Python scripts. With P Edition, players could control the game world directly using code. For example, creating automatic builders, program weather events, or even make simple games within Minecraft. At the time, it was pure magic for school children interested in programming. But P Edition had its own features. The map was fixed in size, and the interface looked like it had been thrown together in one evening, which may well have been the case. And yes, the game never made it out of beta. There were almost no updates, bug fixes, or new features. The developers quickly moved on to other editions. What's happened to it? P Edition can still be downloaded from the Minecraft website. Unfortunately, it has been removed from the distributions, and after installing the OS, you won't find it. The repositories have been removed, so the only way to install it is to shift to third-party programs. However, this will not be the original version, but a modified one, albeit for the better. Enthusiasts have worked hard to refine the versions themselves. Minecraft Pocket Edition, or simply PE, is a version of Minecraft that was released in 2011 and literally turned mobile gaming upside down. Imagine, when everyone was playing Cut the Rope, Temple Run and Angry Birds, Mojang released Minecraft on smartphones. And it was very stripped down version at first. The worlds were small, there were almost no monsters, and there was a minimal set of blocks. But even with these limitations, PE became a huge hit. The game first appeared on Android and iOS, and then made its way to Windows Phone. Yes, there used to be such a thing. Over time, PE grew, developers added content, and eventually it almost caught up with the Java version. Redstone, the end, new maps, structures, and of course, multiplayer were added. But in 2017, the big news came. Minecraft Pocket Edition merged with other platforms, Windows 10, Xbox, Switch, and became part of Minecraft Bedrock Edition, a universal version of the game with a crossplay. What's happening with it now? Technically, Minecraft Pocket Edition no longer exists as a separate product. It's now simply called Minecraft in the App Store and Google Play, and is part of the Bedrock family. If you ever purchased this edition, it was automatically updated to the Bedrock version. But among the older players, there is still nostalgia for the days when the PE was a separate game, with its bugs, features, and even unique maps. Today, Minecraft on phones is a full Minecraft experience, with servers and marketplace, and some models already support vibrant visuals. Minecraft Education Edition is a modern educational version of Minecraft that was released in 2016, thanks to Microsoft. It is essentially the successor to MinecraftEdu, but with much broader capabilities and ambitions. While MinecraftEdu was designed as a small project, Education Edition is now a serious international program used to teach children around the world. In this edition, players don't just run around and build, they program. Yes, on Code Builder, study chemistry with a real chemical reaction in a virtual lab, solve math problems, study history in biology, and even develop social skills through the team scenarios. Throw some NPCs, the ability for teachers to control the process, ready-made worlds, and lesson plans, and you've got yourself a real educational hodgepodge. What's happening with it now? Minecraft Education Edition is actively developing and being updated. Microsoft releases regular updates for it, new maps, blocks, programming tools, and recently even added support for artificial intelligence. The game is used in schools in more than 115 countries, and teachers share their experiences and maps in a huge online community. This edition is not just for schools, it can already be purchased and used at home. However, this requires purchasing Microsoft 365, which is not cheap, but overall, it's an option. Minecraft China Edition is a special version of Minecraft released exclusively for China in 2017, thanks to a partnership between Mojang, Microsoft, and Chinese IT giant NetEase. Why was a separate edition necessary? It's simple. In order to reach the Chinese market, games often have to be adapted to local laws, cultural characteristics, and player preferences. Therefore, China Edition is a kind of Minecraft with Chinese specifics. Funnily enough, this version is free but with a lot in-app purchases. Yes, unlike the rest of the world, world, Chinese players can download Minecraft completely free of charge, and the developers make money from microtransactions, skins, maps, minigames, upgrades, events, and other similar things. China Edition has almost everything that Bedrock Edition has, but with the addition of unique features, events, and in-game activities focused on the Chinese audience. For example, special holidays events dedicated to Chinese New Year, all exclusive items. What's happening with it now? The game is alive and growing. According to data from 2023-2024, hundreds of millions of players have registered. NetEase continues to support the game, releasing updates, and the Chinese community is actively involved in creating content. However, players from other countries cannot access it. Accounts and servers are tied to Chinese platforms. At the very least, a Chinese AD is required for registration. Fun fact, this edition sometimes even has unique content. For example, unique voting for mobs. In 2018, an exclusive vote for mobs was held for the Chinese market, with the participants including a crocodile, monkey, deer, dolphin, and panda. Yes, as you might have guessed, the panda won, and it has also appeared in the Java edition of the game. At the same time, the Chinese version remains one of the largest in terms of the number of players worldwide. This is understandable since there's no need to buy it. If you want, I can try to get access and make a video about this version. Write in the comments if you're interested. Minecraft New Nintendo 3DS Edition is a version of Minecraft released in 2017, specifically for the new Nintendo 3DS console. It would seem that the 3DS is a handheld console with 2 screens, MIDI-core specs, and a library of games like Mario and Pokemon. But Mojang decided to take a piece of that market. They did, but the edition was heavily stripped down. This version was based on Minecraft Pocket Edition, but was seriously adapted to the console's features. Players could control the game using the touchscreen, for example, quickly select items or work with the inventory. However, the graphics were heavily cut, the worlds were smaller, and there was no multiplayer at all. I talk a little more about this version in a separate video. There I detailed all of its cons and even some pros. What's happening with it now? In 2020, support for the game was officially discontinued. Updates are no longer released, bugs are not fixed, and the Nintendo eShop for 3DS has been closed since 2023. This means that if you purchase the digital version of the game before then, congratulations, you still have it, but a new players will not be able to legally obtain it unless they buy a cartridge. Despite this, fans still remember it fondly. Minecraft on handheld with 2 screens and a stylus was fun, albeit strange experiment. Believe me, 2 screens are really convenient, but the console's performance left much to be desired. Minecraft Classic is a browser version of Minecraft that Mojang relaunched in 2019 to celebrate the game's 10th anniversary. More specifically, it is a remake of the very first public version of Minecraft from 2009, rewritten in JavaScript so that anyone can run it directly from their browser. No installation, no launcher, no hassle. This version features only 32 blocks, very primitive graphics, but no mobs, survival, or crafting. Essentially, it's a built-in sandbox with multiplayer for 8 people and absolutely limited gameplay. But that's the beauty of it. Minecraft Classic is still available on the official Minecraft website. Anyone can open their browser, log in, create a world, and dive straight into nostalgia. Or conversely, be surprised and say it used to be worse. It's more of a fan service than a full-fledged game. Mojang doesn't release updates, new features, or bug fixes for Classic. The edition exists simply to remind us of how it all began. It's a shame that after 6 years they still haven't fixed the multiplayer issue. You can join a game and play with a friend. This bug appeared just 3 days after this version was released. I doubt anyone will ever fix it. As I said, the game is available now completely free of charge, but only on a computer. When you try to log in via your phone, an error appears. Minecraft Legacy Console Edition is the collective name for all versions of Minecraft that were released on older home consoles: Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, initially PS Vita, Wii U, and Nintendo Switch. Before the transition to Bedrock, the first version appeared on Xbox 360 in 2012, and it was a real event. What's more, this edition was a complete console exclusive. These versions had their own unique features. First, the interface and menus were completely redesigned for gamepad control rather than mouse and keyboard. Second, the maps were limited in size. No endless world, just cozy little square worlds. But the most important feature was the split screen. This meant that with 2 gamepads, you and a friend could play Minecraft together without any problems. This worked on every edition except PS Vita, for obvious reasons, as the console was not powerful enough. 4G Studios, which worked on the ports, deserves special respect. Yes, Mojang hired a separate studio to create the ports. They didn't just port Minecraft to consoles, they adapted it with love. They added exclusive skin packs, for example with Halo or Mass Effect, texture packs, minigames like Battle, an analog of the Hunger Games, Thumble, an analog of Spliff, and Glide, where you had to fly through obstacles on elytras. What happened to them? Everything changed in 2017-2018, when Microsoft and Mojang decided to merge most platforms into a single Minecraft Bedrock edition with a crossplay. Xbox One, PS4, Nintendo Switch all switched to Bedrock, and legacy console editions stopped being updated. No more patches, new blocks or mobs, it has been officially considered as a complete. However, fans still remember it with a great nostalgia. Many believe that the console versions were more soulful, more colorful, and simply more convenient. By the way, you can play the Xbox 360 edition using emulators. Minecraft Gear VR Edition is a version of Minecraft released in 2016, specifically for Samsung Gear VR virtual reality headset. Yes, there was a moment in Minecraft history where Mojang decided, why not? Essentially, Gear VR Edition is a slightly reworked version of Minecraft Pocket Edition, adapted for virtual reality. Players could immerse themselves in the world of Minecraft with a full presence, turn their heads 360 degrees, look at their creations from the inside, and even experience slight dizziness if they ran for a long time or fell from a height. However, the controls were still handled with a gamepad, so it was a hybrid of VR and classic gaming. At first, the idea seemed ambitious. The game even received good reviews and became one of the first major VR games on mobile devices. But then problems showed up. Limited smartphone performance, quickly drained batteries, and of course, inconvenience. What's happening with it now? By 2020, support for the game had been completely discontinued. Updates are no longer released, and the Gear VR headset itself has been retired, giving way to more powerful devices such as the Oculus Quest. In the end, this version of Minecraft turned out to be an unsuccessful experiment. Minecraft Apple TV Edition was released in December 2016 and immediately became an unusual innovation. It was Mojang's attempt to capture another platform, Apple TVs. It would seem, why play Minecraft on a TV without a gamepad? But Mojang decided to give a try. Apple TV Edition was based on a Bedrock Edition and included worlds, mobs, crafting, multiplayer, and of course, a store with skins and textures. The game was controlled using the Apple TV remote, which, to be honest, wasn't the most convenient option. Players often complained about the strange and clunky controls. Meanwhile, separate controls were sometimes sold separately. As a gift, it included a code to activate Minecraft on Apple TV. At first, everything went well, but in 2018, Microsoft quietly discontinued support for Apple TV Edition. The main reason was low demand. Players simply did not want to play to the Apple TV en masse, especially when mobile, PC and console versions were already available. Updates stopped coming out and Apple TV Edition gradually faded into history as one of the most unsuccessful versions of Minecraft. Minecraft VR is the second attempt to enter the virtual reality market. The first, as you may remember, was a Samsung Gear VR. This time, the release was created for Oculus Rift, Windows Mixed Reality and PlayStation VR. Minecraft VR is based on Bedrock Edition, which means that players can immerse themselves in their worlds with the crossplay support, explore caves, build castles, gather resources, and so on. But there was also problems. Some players experience nausea. That's exactly how I feel. For some reason, Minecraft VR makes me feel sick, but other games don't. Today, Minecraft VR has been abandoned, the developers are no longer updating it, and just recently, VR support for new version has been officially discontinued. This means that new versions will no longer be compatible with virtual reality headsets. There are no plans to release official support for Java either, but there are community mods such as Wivecraft and Questcraft. Install the mod and play. Minecraft Fire TV Edition is a special version of Minecraft released for the Amazon Fire TV box. It was released in December 2016 and, like the Apple TV Edition, was Mojang's attempt to capture the TV device market. The idea is simple: run Minecraft on a big screen using an affordable TV box so you can enjoy the game from your couch. Fire TV Edition was still based on the Bedrock Edition and, you guessed it, was controlled via the Fire TV remote or the separate controller, which was of course much more convenient. But as with the Apple TV edition, it did not achieve consumer success. Many players preferred to play on consoles, PCs or mobile devices, and Fire TV edition remained a little-known entertainment. In 2018, Microsoft discontinued support for this edition, along with the release of new updates. Amazon stores removed it from their catalog, and today it is not possible to buy or download this version. Minecraft Windows 10 edition was released in 2015 and marked a new stage in the game's development. This version laid the foundation for the Bedrock edition, the universal Minecraft that brings together players from Windows, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, mobile devices and even VR headsets. This edition was built on their basis of Pocket Edition, and initially the version looked and felt like lightweight Minecraft. There were no command blocks, no add-ons and even normal world generation. A separate team was hired for development and their edition began to accumulate updates. Almost everything that was on Java appeared in this edition, and in 2017 the name Windows 10 Edition disappeared. The version became simply Minecraft. In short, Windows 10 Edition as a separate version died, but its legacy lives in the Bedrock Edition. And in general, the edition is now called Minecraft without the Bedrock Edition qualifier. Minecraft Dungeons is a spin-off of the Minecraft universe that was released in 2020 and came as a big surprise for the players. Instead of a usual crafting, building and survival, Mojang decided to go into the action RPG genre and made a real dungeon crawler. In other words, it's Minecraft but in style of Diablo. The player controls a hero and fights hordes of mobs, rescues villagers, collects artifacts and defeats big bosses. There is no crafting or world destruction in the game, but there is a system of equipment, enchantments and upgrades. Dungeons was praised for its stylish graphics, vibrant gameplay, and of course the ability to play multiplayer with up to 4 players. The game was actively supported by Mojang. New DLC, new maps, bosses, and events were released. However, in 2023 it was announced that the game would no longer receive major updates. Its development cycle was complete. Nevertheless, the servers are still running and the game itself remains available on all platforms. There are rumors and even small leaks that Mojang is preparing a sequel to Minecraft Dungeons, codenamed Spicewood. The game is supposed to be released in 2026, but there is no exact information on the time of writing. Minecraft Legends is one of the latest spin-offs from the Minecraft universe, released in 2023. Unlike Minecraft Dungeons, which was an action RPG, Legends was a real-time strategy game with action elements. Simply put, it's Minecraft where you don't just run around with a sword, but lead an army and build defenses against the piglins. The plot revolves around the player gathering allies from different game world biomes to stop the invasion of piglins from the Nether. There are elements of tactics, buildings, fortification, as well as massive battles where the player personally participates and controls an army. At launch, Minecraft Legends looked promising. Colorful graphics, multiplayer combat, co-op, large-scale battles, but unfortunately the game failed to retain its audience. Many complained about monotonous gameplay, a weak strategic component, and a loss of interest after a few hours of gameplay. As a result, online numbers began to decrease and Mojang quickly decided to discontinue active support for the game. That said, bug fixes are still being released from time to time, but no new content is being added. In my opinion, this is one of the Mojang's most notable failures. Minecraft Story Mode is an adventure game released by Telltale Games in 2015. Story Mode was the first spin-off in the Minecraft universe. The game differed from vanilla Minecraft. Instead of a sandbox, it was an interactive movie with a storyline, dialogue choices, decisions, and consequences. Players followed the story of Jesse and his friends as they saved the world from destruction, with their decisions influencing the plot. The first part was a success. Fans appreciated the humor, attractive characters, and atmosphere of adventure. Although they admit that the gameplay was minimal, you just clicked on different character lines with your mouse. The second season was released later and was also warmly received, but without the same hype. Everything changed dramatically in 2018 when Telltale Games went bankrupt. Minecraft Story Mode was taken off sale and unfortunately even purchased versions on many platforms become available for download. The project is officially considered completed and abandoned, and the sequels is unlikely to be released. In the same year before going bankrupt, Telltale Games signed an agreement with Netflix to create an adapted version of the game for the streaming service. The first season was released at the end of the year, but the second never made it to viewers. In December 2022, it was removed from the Netflix library. I don't want to talk about two similar versions, so I'll put them in one part. I am talking about Minecraft Demo and Lite. Minecraft Demo was released for Android and Lite was released for iOS. Overall, it was Pocket Edition, but your worlds weren't saved and only 18 of the 36 different blocks were available. The internal version is the same as the full version, but the file size is only 3 megabytes. These versions were first released on August 15, 2012 and allowed the user to test Minecraft on their phones before purchasing it. These versions have long been removed from the markets, but Minecraft Trial has replaced them. This is also a kind of demo version of Minecraft, only of a new generation and based on Bedrock. Players can play it for about 90 minutes, but multiplayer is not available. There is only survival mode and you cannot change the world seed, enable cheats or change the world settings. You can even change resource packs or add-ons, but you can import skins. This version is available for Android, Windows and PlayStation. It is still being developed just like the original Minecraft. There is also Minecraft Dungeons Arcade, which is literally a physical arcade machine weighing 800 pounds. This game was released in 2021 and is a reworked and simplified version of the original Minecraft Dungeons. Unlike the original game, which used isometric graphics, the developers decided to change the perspective here. In fact, it's a side-scroller. The camera is on the side, the characters run to the right and fight crowds of mobs. The controls are as arcade-like as possible. A joystick to run and only 3 buttons: melee, ranged and dodge. But the most important feature of this edition is the cards. Imagine this: you walk up to the machine, start the game, and it gives you a real physical card. There is a scanner on the control panel. You can scan these cards to equip your hero, put on armor, take weapons, and summon a pet. There are 5 slots for scanning in total. If you don't have any cards, don't worry. The game will give you random equipment, but with cards, you'll have more fun. The gameplay here also has its own features. You collect emeralds to fill special skills. When the skill is full, boom! You activate powerful weapon or armor. By the way, there are mobs here that you won't find even in regular dungeons. For example, the obsidian monstrosity, wizards, and special types of zombies. Unlike the others, the game has not been abandoned. It is still being developed, with latest update in May 2025. If you have played this edition, please share your impressions in the comments. Minecraft Earth is one of the most ambitious and surprisingly fastest fading projects in the Minecraft universe. It was released in 2019 with the aim of becoming a mobile AR game inspired by the success of Pokemon Go. Using their smartphones, players could build structures directly in the real world, see them through the camera, collect resources, fight mobs, and even team up with the other players for larger projects. It all looked promising: cubic castle on the street, mobs right in your backyard, collaborative construction, but in reality, it all turned out to be rather dull and one-sided. It turned out that mobs don't roam the world, they must be lured out from special structures, and building such structures was only permitted on special platforms. This meant that other players wandering around the same place where you were building a structure couldn't find you without a prior invitation. Of course, the pandemic was another blow. A game where you have to go outside to play at a time when everyone needs to stay at home is not going to be particularly popular. In January 2021, Mojang officially announced the closure of Minecraft Earth. The game lasted just over a year, after which the servers were shut down and development was discontinued. All players who donated the game were refunded in the equivalent of Minecoins and a free Minecraft activation code for mobile devices. Minecraft Bedrock Edition is the foundation of modern Minecraft, which results from the merger of multiple platforms: Pocket Edition for mobile devices, Windows 10, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and even some VR headsets. All of this is united under one Bedrock engine, which has become a symbol of Minecraft's cross-platform nature. Bedrock Edition is actively developing, and this edition is the main commercial version of Minecraft. That is, we can say that Bedrock brings the most money, because you can purchase maps, add-ons, skins, and textures on the market. This works both ways, as not only Microsoft earns money but also the content creators. It was precisely for this reason that the decision was made to combine the purchase of Java and Bedrock editions for PC. The price has not changed, but now when you buy the Java edition you get Bedrock for free, and vice versa. Minecraft Java Edition is the original version of Minecraft, which started it all back in 2009. It was originally called just Minecraft, but with the release of Bedrock version in 2017, it was renamed to mark the difference between the two branches of the game. Java Edition only works on Windows, macOS, and Linux, but it is considered the classic version. To this day, this version is one of the most popular among the Minecraft players. This is all because of its openness, free textures, maps, skins, and most importantly, an extensive library of wonderful mods for different tastes. The game is still actively developing, and to be honest, the Java team is the one coming up with the new content. That is, it is originally created for the Java edition, and then it all appears for Bedrock. Both versions of Minecraft have a right to exist, as they meet the needs of different players. When I started writing this text, I didn't think that there would be so many editions and different versions of Minecraft, but as we can see, there have been ups and downs along the way. To be honest, I think there have been more downs. I'm glad that developers understood that they need to develop Java and Bedrock without spreading themselves too thin on other projects. Yes, spin-offs will continue to be released, but they are being worked on by completely different people. What do you think is the biggest failure in the history of Minecraft, and why it is Legends? While you're waiting for the next video, check out these ones, they're just as interesting. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash that like button and hit the notification bell. See you soon, because we're discovering Minecraft in a whole new way.